Well, why don't we start the morning off with the barking dogs? Hey, good Thursday morning. Wow, is it Thursday? Come on. I think I don't know. I can't keep track. The days go by so fast. Is today Thursday? I think it is. Jesus Christ. Hey, welcome to Ice Age TV. Ryan, people probably saying, dude, what are you doing, man, huh? Are you hitting that Jim Beam stuff too hard every night? Yeah. Yeah, so hey, welcome to the channel, Ice Age TV. And what's the conversations today? Look, here's my Mustang Mach-E Cup that I got from my sales guy buying that, what did I buy? An F-150 Lightning truck. Come on, Scout, let's go, buddy, come on. Come on. Look at this, the kid got the Harley sticker on the back of the truck. That Indian trader. Thought she was the Indian lady. Come on, Pop, come on, boy, let's go. Yeah, I had to take a break there to clean off my lens and my glasses, but I watched my video last night. Here's the bikes. We didn't get them covered up because the engines are so hot, and then we forgot all about it. So that's too bad, right? Really enjoying the Harley. So that's pretty cool. You know, and I'm just on a nighttime. I mean, I just can't, you know, challenge. I mean, Jesus Christ. You know, what people understand is I have jobs. I have to go do work, and I need my truck a lot of times. So, you know, driving around in this fancy car isn't going to work. Plus, I wouldn't do it. I used to. Years ago, I used to ride around my really fancy cars, but you just rack up so many miles so easily. So I don't do that anymore. You know, I just can't get excited about that. Especially the Ice Age just changing, and that's what I'm going to talk about, the Detroit Auto Show. I think it's a good conversation to start this morning. The office stairs here, and check out my CUDA. And Evil Knievel and all that good stuff, right? And there's the dogs waiting for me as I go up the stairs. Tell you what, I really blew out my knee here. And finally, it's kind of healing, thank God. But yeah, so here's the office, the dog's in the chair waiting to talk to me. Yeah, have I gone to the dog? Yeah, have I gone to the dogs? Probably. Yeah, so I'll start drinking my coffee. And I'll start hacking because of the GERD challenges. I mean, I couldn't drink coffee for like 2 years. I'm not lying to you. I didn't drink. I mean, no alcohol, no beverages. It took me, my GERD was destroyed because I had no idea waking up at 2 in the morning on a regular basis from drinking wine and had acid reflux. I never knew taking, you know, those, the tabs, you know, they can't even think of the word right now. The Tums to cut down your acid in your stomach. I never knew that. So anyways, yeah, just a lesson for anybody. If you're waking up middle of the night and you're getting acid reflux, take Tums. Get your stomach's acids under control because it destroys your esophagus, which turns into a GERD issue. You need to do a lot of research on it. It's worldwide. I mean, millions of people have this challenge. Eventually, you can turn it to Barrett's disease. When you were told at the doctor you have Barrett's disease, you're dead. It's your esophagus cancer. I know people have gotten it from drinking. Yes, you know, drinking sadly kills a lot of people. It's incredible what we do to ourselves. All right, so yeah, the Detroit Auto Show. It's interesting that I was so busy yesterday doing my things that I do every day and taking care of things. And we went riding motorcycles last night because the big Mustangs, you know, 7th generation S650 series was revealed at 8 p.m. last night on the YouTube channel called Stampede. And I wasn't around. I was out literally riding motorcycles. And in which at nighttime, oh my gosh, I am not a nighttime rider. It's just, I did that because we're back up north here. And the last time we brought the other bikes home, that was back in August. We never rode. It was just too many things going on for me we just never had time. And people were like, yeah, time. Like I just told you, is today Thursday? That's hard to believe. Wow. So anyways, yeah, so the motorcycles kind of threw a loop into me really paying attention to the big Mustang reel. About what for information I'm getting from the internet, the Wall Street Journal, Car and Driver, car forums, the big reveal, you know, was for the most part nice because it's Ford keeping the ICE engine. That's the main conversation of the 7th generation Mustang. Not only they freshened it up, some people think it has now a Camaro look to it, and you know, then the interior's all been modern digital age for the rising crowd. Because believe it or not, apparently since 2015, Mustang sales are down 57%. Yeah, so from 2015 to 2022, Mustang sales are less than half. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of variables that are playing out with that. So, one thing, supply chain, I don't know about that. The competition, maybe. There's a lot of things going on in the market. The markets are changing. So Ford's goal is to keep that, the well-known heritage of the Mustang, which I see all the time. I have Dodge friends in forums, and they're just not Mustang guys. And they, my post stuff in there, they kind of get a little irritated, I think. But it's not hate. It's just Jesus, here we go, the Mustangs. And I understand all that. But at the same time, what I'm trying to radiate is, if it wasn't for Ford, and I can't emphasize enough, I was not a Ford guy growing up. I wasn't. I'm still a Mopar guy. Am I a Chevy guy? I'm not so much. I'm not a Chevy hater, but I'm just not a Chevy guy like I used to be, which I was. I was a huge Chevy guy. If you would have seen my property back in the 2000 years, you would have seen a Chevy Suburban, a Chevy Tahoe, a Chevy Corvette. You would have seen the Chevy or the GMC midsize, whatever the hell that thing was, like the Trailblazer. You would have seen a Chevy 1500, a Chevy 2500, and a Chevy Dewey 3500. Yes, you would have seen all that on my property. You'd have seen all Chevy on my property. Yes, I'm not embellishing. So for me, I just transitioned. I kind of transitioned from Chevy into the Mopar and back, kind of the Chevy, Mopar, Toyota as well. So going back to the Ford Mustang, what I see all the time is, think about this. Back in the 70s, it was the heyday, early 70s, late 60s, through 60s with Mopar muscle and the Ice Age muscle and with all three brands. But guess who bailed? After the government came in, here we go. Here's the government EPA guidelines back in the 1974, 75, 76, so forth, so on, in the 80s, mandating all these guidelines that the manufacturers couldn't get their ICE engines to compete with, to bring anything that would make the car seem like you'd want to buy a high-performance car that has 100 horsepower. I mean, can you imagine? Go out and buy yourself a new Dodge Challenger in 1976 and it has a whopping 100 horsepower, 120 horsepower. They didn't know how to get the energy out of it without, not passing emissions. Okay, so that's the reason they banned the market. They couldn't do it. It was too expensive to make it or whatever. So the point is, it went for Ford continue to trudge along with the Mustangs and some of those things back in the late 70s, blah, 80s, early 80s, blah, yeah. And so Ford never gave up. And what I say all the time is, if you look at the Dodge Challenger in the 80s, it was a Mitsubishi. It was hideous. The Shelby, Plymouth they made, it was a Plymouth Horizon hatchback. Oh my gosh. I mean, so for Ford, they never stopped the Mustang heritage. And I say this all the time, which I just repeated it 10 times to you. I don't think Dodge would have come back with the Challenger had they seen there was a niche in a market for that muscle car so-called era still. Yeah. The Challenger didn't come back as the retro until like 2008. What's so sad is that's when I was taking my big financial hits, and I had so many of my friends who were Dodge dealerships before they lost our franchises that don't exist anymore. And they were like, oh man, you got to get the new Challenger. I was sick to my stomach. I was like, I can't. I'm done. I mean, I had a Dodge Charger, SRT. All that stuff went bye-bye. Yes. Super B, Dodge Charger, B5 Blue. Yeah, that, Dodge Viper, SRT 10 night package that you see a picture of my little girl with in front of in my over 200 purchases video. Yeah, just so you know, if you watch my YouTube channel, I have a video of all the cars I've owned. And I had to just go and find generic pictures because I don't have all the pictures for every car I own. But yes, it's pretty accurate. And it's not even up to date now. Yeah, it's crazy. So anyways, the Ford, 7th generation reveal got a good reception. And they, once again, the main conversation is, Ford is continue with ICE, unlike other, Dodge. Ridiculous. Why Dodge wouldn't continue to offer, a choice? And that's what they talk about in these articles, is Ford is still giving the consumer a choice. You want to buy a Ford Mustang Mach-E EV vehicle, I wonder who has that. You can do that. But hey, guess what? You can also still buy a really nice Ford Mustang ICE, gasoline setup, engine setup. So, and that's getting a lot of, Ford is trying to ride off that. Ford is gambling that the Ford haters of the Mustang, that may be the Dodge guy or the Chevy guy, they may cross the bridge and go, you know what? I like Ford now just because they're still building ICE engines and I can get a nice little performance car to have fun in. I mean, that's what it's all about. To me, I buy these Mustangs and Challengers. Those are the fun cars after work, not during work. And yes, I know a lot of people have budgets and they can't afford to have more than one car. They have to drive the Challenger, the Mustang all the time. But really, realistically, the Mustang's always been really the weekend fun car. The Dodge Challenger, for the most part, same thing. They were never really purchased by most people to be the everyday driver. Not saying people don't, but it's your outlet. You know, I talk about that numerous times in my videos. Is my passion is cars. Not going fishing tomorrow and hunting tomorrow. That's not my passion. Going golfing. I mean, I've done all that. Can I do it? Yeah. But is that what I want to do tomorrow? No. You know, I'm looking forward to taking my Challenger out and doing some back road riding and having some fun. Or I'm thinking of taking a GT500 out. Or I'm thinking about jumping on the Harleys or the Indians and taking, you know, rides. You see those videos of me when I'm in Tennessee riding the Harley, you know, the Indians. You know, not the Harleys, as those Indian for the most part when I started videoing. So, you know, going back to Detroit Auto Show, so it's really interesting in that show and the comments that I'm reading, and you go to the comments section and the other information. So Detroit Auto Show used to be dead of January, which is just so stupid. It's the same thing here in this DC area. They would have the car show and the boat show the dead of winter. It was ridiculous. There'd be sometimes winters, you'd have blizzards come through and you couldn't get to the car show. But it's like the worst time of year to do it. Why wouldn't you have a car show like the typical annual reveal? So most car manufacturers follow the fall release of vehicles. That's just the way it works. A lot of them are changing that, but typically, you know, throughout the years, most car manufacturers, you know, you'd order your new 2023 car in like July or August, or maybe even September, and you'd hopefully get it by October or November or December of that 2022 year, but it'd be 2023 model, or you get it in January. So if you think about it, why wouldn't they be having car shows when people can go order the new, latest, greatest product? They're just going to start now building, versus go to the January show, and yeah, the car may be built, but they start showing in 2024 that you can't even order until that following summer or fall, you know, which is like, geez, what a joke. So, and on that note, yeah, for the Ford Mustang 2023, it's going to be 2024. So yeah, they're really showing it early, meaning that it's not going to be till next summer you can order a 2024 Mustang. You can still order 2023. No mention of GT500, nothing. Goose egg, nothing about the GT500. It's all about the new, later, greater, the performance Dark Horse S and Dark Horse R, which are like built ready, track ready type of, you know, cars. Which that's interesting to hear about that, with a little bumped up horsepower and the never-ending Coyote motor. You know, it's being continued to be built and built and built and built. 5.0, you know, Mustang, but it's a true and tried, you know, motor that's had a, you know, great success, and you can get great power in it without having to do a lot of modification on it. That's true. Coyote motors can take like 800 horsepower without changing anything. Maybe even 1,000, but for the record, you can supercharge your Mustang to 700-800 horsepower with no having to change out the pistons, you know, having to change out the crank, or, you know, redo the upper valve train, you know, just so it's really a really stout motor. So going back to the Detroit Auto Show, it's interesting how they've changed the time of year on it. And since the pandemic came in, this is the first show since 2019. So it's 3 years. 3 years. But in that 3-year time, a lot of things have happened. It's pretty crazy. If you really start doing your research, and I was talking the other day about the out of control. Well, if you really start doing your research since the pandemic, you know, happened, and now the after, you know, facts or aftermath of what's, you know, played out, it's done a lot of good and done some bad. I mean, you know, it just depends on which side of the fence you're on. If you're the guy that's now remotely working from home, which I knew it. I've been saying this for 2 years at least. It's a fact. I read it today through the Wall Street Journal. Cabbage is a division of American Express, and Cabbage, does research, market survey studies. And so San Francisco, LA, DC, maybe Chicago, I can't remember all the big cities. New York wasn't in there, which was kind of weird because New York's Manhattan district has been destroyed. That whole business infrastructure structure is now being converted to condos and apartments. So that whole, office space is like been decimated. But anyways, 30%. It's 30% of the people in the Washington, D.C. area now remotely work. And I've been saying that because the roads, I live on the roads, even though the roads aren't getting much heavier, so something is changing. But for the most part, the message is, for me, living on the roads every day of my life, I just know the traffic flow because I live on the roads, and the traffic went away. The 8 to 5 traffic in DC area went away. So let's go back to the Detroit Auto Show. What I'm talking about there, it's the same thing that's happened in the automotive side. The number of manufacturers showing up to this year's auto show was like 20. Well, in the heyday, it was like 120, or 70 or so. The numbers over the last 20 years have continued to fall and fall and fall. And that number 20 number may not be right, maybe 9. It may have been 20 in 2019. I'm not, but what I'm trying to radiate to you is the car auto show thing has changed. And guess who's changed it? It's the guy I talked about the other day that's created all the havoc in the car market. It's Elon Musk. Yes, they're claiming Elon Musk, his style, like Apple phone. See, Apple phone, how they have the Las Vegas technology show every year, and all the big tech guys show up, like the Summit type of thing, and they're showing off their products and announcing products. Well, Apple broke off on its own, and it does its own big reveals. Well, Tesla wrote off that business model. And if you don't think Tesla kind of sat back and thought about Apple, I mean, who knows? But here's the thing. So Elon, he's a guy that gets the big event, and he just does his own special reveals and special announcements. And he's had great success. So the other big auto manufacturers are taking note of that and saying, you know what, going to these big auto shows, we just get blended in with everybody else, and let's just do our own thing. Just like Dodge. You notice Dodge lately has kind of been doing their own thing. They kind of did the Dodge Charger Challenger replacement, EV reveal here last month, and they got a lot of attention. They did that at the big auto show. I'm not saying we get attention, but it's more of the car talk because it's just all about them for that big reveal. There's nothing else going on. So it's good marketing. That's a good marketing way to get your product recognized and talked about. But what's interesting is the conversation about that reveal on the Detroit Auto Show is, a lot of the journalists feel like what Ford's doing may draw away the Dodge ICE guys, which, I don't know. I'd say it's 50-50, whatever. So going back to talking about the pandemic has altered the landscape of so many things to the point that I talked about this with Jim Farley, the CEO of Ford, where he's out of control. Well, here's the thing. Ford is more than ever with the electric vehicle. Realize it or not, Ford has split their ICE division to an EV division. They now have an exclusive EV division. That's all it's catering to is the EV side of the business. And part of that, they just announced the dealers. The dealers have up to 2024 to get their act together, or they're going to lose EV sale capabilities. So what Ford is saying right now is they're saying to the individuals is, hey, if you want to be a Ford dealer, first thing you got to do is you got to stop this ridiculous overcharging people for cars. That's the first criteria. Second one is you have to spend at least $1.2 million in your building to update it to the EV charging capabilities, which I think that's a pretty good idea. I experienced it down in Tennessee with my F-150. These guys have the conventional, 220 hookup that takes forever to charge your car. You may get 10 miles per hour or maybe 20 miles per hour, so it takes forever to get any charge. So the CEO of Ford, Jim, is telling all these dealers, hey, guess what? You guys, the EV side, we're not going to play like we played with the ICE cars. It's a whole new ball game. To the point, Ford really wants people just to go online, order their car, and then have the option to have it delivered to their home or to go to the dealership and pick it up. And that's really creating a lot of stir on these these, franchisees, dealers, we realize or not, the Automotive Dealer Association, these states, I mean, they're radical. I mean, there are so many states where Tesla cannot sell cars. You may not know that. There are states that won't allow Carvana to sell cars because the Dealers Association has buddied up with the state legislature, and they've made it so that you have to have a standing building in order for you to sell a vehicle. You have to have an infrastructure of a building, a facility, and everything else. And so the Tesla model, to a lot of the car industry, they hate it. And I hear you. If you're a car sales guy, you're a general manager of a dealership, you don't want to hear this change of where Ford is going to start buddying up with the consumer and going direct with the consumer. Excuse me. So, and that's what there literally is an in-house fight with Ford and its franchisees about this. And the GMs and the owners of dealerships, they're getting nervous because they see the painting on the wall. They see how Ford totally wants to control their inventory more than ever. It's so contradictory because years ago, the manufacturer wanted to shove the inventory down your throat. And then it was your problem to get rid of it. Well, that's all reversed. I've been in the equipment side of the business that I told you about years ago when I owned a lawn and garden equipment dealership, and I thought to myself, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. These guys that own these lawn and garden equipment dealerships, they're idiots. And they'd be like, well, that's not very nice. Yeah, I agree. It's not very nice. But what I really mean by that is this. For me, I had a building that I paid $8,000 a month rent. And so in 2008, that was a lot of money. Today, different ball game. But for just a brand new dealership, okay, and in my dealership structure, I had to have floor plan. I had to display, so like Still's a manufacturer, good product, great thing that brings foot traffic in. And just hear me out here, what I'm trying to convey to you about the manufacturers. But I learned very quickly that I thought, who designed this plan? So I had to have a third of my showroom basically with the Still product all displayed in my showroom. Well, that's value. That's real estate space that should be making me money. Well, unbeknownst to me until that time, well, guess what? At Home Depot and Lowe's, whether you realize it or not, they get paid. Lowe's and Home Depot get paid by those, like if you go into Lowe's or Home Depot and you see different product lines that are sitting on their shelves, those manufacturers have to pay them for shelf space. Yeah, yes. They don't get to put their products on those shelves for free because Lowe's and Home Depot knows it's a huge, massive amount of money to inventory their products to sell. So the manufacturers have to step up the bill to help them move product, and they got to pay for their space to be on their shelf, which you just end up paying through the product. Yes. Well, when I got in the lawn and garden equipment industry, I'm like, this is insane. I'm here displaying these guys' products. They make them from their factory. They send them to me. Now I got to buy them. Then I got to turn around and sell them. And it's all on me now. They're out of the ball game. What a great ball game. I mean, so if or you floor plan it, which that's so dangerous because they give you 6 to 9 months on you moving. This is like lawnmowers and tractors and other bigger equipment that isn't such a small ticket item. But what happens is if you haven't sold that zero-turn lawnmower, you've had a lousy season, and you pick that lawnmower up in January and it's still sitting on your showroom floor by September, you're going to get a big fat bill in October to pay for that machine. Or you can floor plan it and pay them interest every month for it to be on your floor until you sell it. This is why car dealerships in the old days would do the big blowout sales at the end of the month for dealer inventory. And if they had vehicles were on the lots more than like 120 days. Unbeknownst to the consumer, the dealer of that location, he would have to start paying interest on that vehicle to continue to sit his dealership. So eventually the dealership has to say, okay, we're going to start paying $500 a month interest in this car. If it's here for 2-3 months, we're going to have another $1,015, so they'll discount the hell of it. They'll be happy to give you that car. Yeah, those days, for the most part, have gone away because of it's been a reverse now. That's what I'm saying to you is back in the day, the manufacturer was making a bloody fortune because they gave you the product. You basically had to buy it from them when you sold it or not, and it's your problem. It ain't their problem anymore. So I thought to myself, all these small lawn and garden dealerships, They're idiots, because why did they let this go on? They need to go back to the manufacturer and say, no, 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 no. Hey, still, you're going to pay me $500 a month or $1,000 a month to display your product in my showroom of my business. Hey, Toro. Yeah, for Toro at Home Depot, they're paying for floor plan. They're paying for space to put their product in front of the Home Depot store or Lowe's or whatever store it may be. There's more to it than you realize. That's why things are expensive as well. So for me, I was like, this is so stupid on how these dealerships set this up. But I get it. Back in the 50s and 60s and 70s, you didn't have the overhead. You didn't have the rent. Everything was so much less expensive. You didn't have the health care. There were so many other variables. Grandma and grandpa could own the land. You could own the little building and start selling lawnmowers out of it. So you really didn't have much expenses or overhead. Those days are gone. They don't work anymore. So going back to the auto show in the auto industry, so here's the headlines of Ford is, the conversation's not stopping. So if you're a Ford GM or a Ford sales guy, it isn't that this is the death wish. It's just that the change of times are upon you, because the conversation continues to come up on the changeover of ICE to EV vehicles. The business model is changing. And it's a more lucrative, profitable way for the manufacturer to move product, because they then have projections of retail sales that they know what they have to build. And that's what they love right now, is they're wanting people to go on your computer and you put a measly $100 deposit down on your online order and pick your dealership, and it builds for the Ford back end what they know, how much materials they're going to order, how many cars they're going to build, how many hours they're going to have the laborers. I mean, everything's being run to a T precisely of what it will take to get your car to you. Versus in the old days, it's just to throw the quarter up in the air, and heads or tails if everybody wants to run down the dealership and buy, all these Ford Mavericks. And that's a good conversation. Ford Maverick truck, if they could build them as fast as they could build them, supposedly they can sell them, which I believe that, because I have one and I've seen what it takes to go get one, and they're not sitting on dealer lots. So, anyways, just going back to the Thursday morning conversations, it's all about the Ice Age. Actually, more than ever, that show is a lot about the Ice Age. Toyota has a Toyota Corolla, like GR or something, they just released, and I didn't really follow much other. GM is there. Apparently, GM has a bunch of EV vehicles. An Equinox or something is making a $30,000 EV vehicle. To me, it's the box. Yeah, it's the transportation. It's the point A, point B. And did they have some air taxi vehicles? I think they had those too. I really haven't watched the show. I was more fixated this morning, just kind of thrown out to you about how the Ice Age was the talk of the auto show because of Ford. And if you think about it, where we are in today's world, you would have to say the auto show would have probably been more about the Mach-E, Ford Mustang Mach-E, the Ford F-150 Lightning, and the Ford F-150 Lightning, right, which now I've owned two of those. Yeah, and how's my guy liking that? I think he likes that. And today we got a 250-mile round trip, and what do I drive? I drive the Mach-E, whatever. I don't know. I like that Ram. I like the ICE. I mean, sincerely, I like the ICE. That's just a more fun thing. But for my business, the EV vehicle, it makes a lot of sense for all the miles we drive and just burning up vapors, if you know what I mean. You put a bunch of gas in your car and it just vaporizes, right? So anyways, that's just my theme today. It's about the Ice Age, which I think that's pretty cool that Ford is trying to keep that passion. It talks about that in the conversation journalist, is that Ford is trying to continue to give that heartbeat to that, motorhead like me, where you get in that car and you start her up and you hear that rumble, and that's just the nicest, coolest thing you can have. And we have that exhaust note. It's just the baddest ass thing you can have. I mean, like these Harleys last night, there's no doubt in my mind, when I get those exhausts changed out, it's just going to give you a whole different feeling. And then my daughter, when I have time to get the straight pipe for the Ram 2500 and put that on her truck, there's just no doubt in my mind she's going to be driving down the road, just smiling away, and blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's just, yes, that's what it's all about. But yet, as we know, the governing bodies don't think that's the greatest idea. But I think that in the end, somehow, some way, we'll be all right. I think people get a little too radical, and everybody starts predicting the end of the world. 2035. I don't believe 2035 by any means it'll be radically different, because there's going to be so many ICE vehicles still in the market. And between now and then, if you have different powers, they may extend it to 2040. Who knows? I mean, there's a lot of variables. 2035, I mean, come on. I can't remember what day it is today. How do you know it's going to be going on 2035, right? So everybody, appreciate watching my channel. As always, hit subscribe, tell your friends, post your comments. I like to hear comments. Really great comments from people. I love to read what you guys are thinking. I love that. It's just great to read your stories. I love to hear your stories. So everybody, hope you have a blessed day. And do I make another video of me riding down the road and what? I don't know. So, I know, and I told you yesterday, the F-250 Tremor that I traded in for F-150 Lightning, the minute I walked off the lot, the truck sold. It was gone. I mean, so if I would have changed my mind by the time I got back home, I said, you know what? And you know, if you watch that video this morning, I think he probably sensed, like, yeah, that guy bought that thing in the whim of the moment. And now he's thinking, yeah, I don't want that damn thing. So here, this guy, he can have it. Yeah, that's who I am. Hey, have a great day.